Watergate may have been broken by two newspaper reporters, but it became a television story.
I began by telling the president that there was a cancer growing on the presidency, and if the cancer was not removed, the president himself would be killed by it.
Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
A government fell on television. When it was over, after 1968 and after Watergate, it was politics that changed its rules, not television. There were more candidates and more primaries, public financing and spending limits, a political system better suited to television.
This is to allow the candidates' representatives or the candidates to see the lighting, to get familiar with the stage setup, and we'd like to get started. So if we could clear the cameras, please.
Philo T. Farnsworth's little gadget revolutionized American politics. It could transform a high school auditorium in Manchester, New Hampshire into a national forum, into a television studio.
Are you going to pull back with that camera to do a wide-angle shot while the candidate is speaking?
Let me just tell you at the outset, generally speaking, this camera will do the head-on shots and will vary between a waist shot and a close-up.
That's fine.
Like you were, but keep your body straight.
If you wanted to run for President of the United States in 1980, you sat where television told you to sit.
Okay, you don't want to roll around.
No.
Try and stay still like you did last time.
Yeah. And a cross shot on camera 6 to Howard K. Smith. All right, stand by on camera 5 as an opening, and we'll do this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're up on camera 5.
Mr. Howard K. Smith.
Thank you, Mrs.
The old political order was passing, chased by technology. That happened once before, when the printing press was invented. That piece of technology destroyed European feudalism, and then monarchy. We've seen what television could do in just 40 years. The question now, in America, is what will television destroy? What will it create? Politicians now say that they can go directly to the people. What they mean is that they can go directly to television. Getting on television is what modern presidential campaigns are all about. There were 41 television cameras at one place one night in Nashua, New Hampshire. A debate sponsored by a local newspaper which invited only two candidates, Ronald Reagan and George Bush. But no candidate could resist that many cameras, and 4 uninvited Republicans tried to crash the TV party. Then all hell broke loose.
Could you turn that microphone off, please?
I am paying for this microphone.
Chaos and commotion were made for television, and this is what viewers saw on the network news.
Ronald Reagan said he was paying for the forum and everyone could play. John Breen of the Nashua Telegraph said the newspaper was sponsoring the forum and everyone couldn't play. George Bush fiddled. Reagan burned.
Mr. Green.
Could you turn that microphone off, please?
I am paying for this microphone.
What would you report? The candidate stands on arms limitations? Face it, television is pictures. It's best at transmitting conflict and emotion. Ideas are harder. Candidates know that, and that's changed political campaigning. Is it worth going out of your way to get to a television studio, to get to a place cameras might be?
It certainly is. I can tell you that we have made many detours and we have traveled many extra miles and we have spent many hours on the telephone pleading with news show producers. Can't you possibly send somebody to cover this event? And it becomes, you know, one of the most important details in trying to get the additional exposure that you need.
If a candidate is not covered on television, it becomes very hard to convince people of the reality of that person's candidacy. So in a sense, you might say, if a person isn't on television, they are a political non-being. They do not exist for the voter, even if that voter meets him in person. And that certainly makes television a very powerful medium.
mean, everybody wants to get media attention. Parties want to get media attention. Candidates want media attention. We all try to think of things we can say or do. We make phone calls. I guess we could stand on our head or hold up a bank. We could get on that way. But to do it honestly, it's tough unless you're out front. I mean, it's almost embarrassing when you think you have qualifications and you show up in a meeting and there's nobody there. I have one network. I think I've had 20 seconds on that network since my campaign started, and all it showed was my car trying to get out of a rut, and it said the Dole campaign never got started.
The candidates we've talked to here who aren't called frontrunners feel that it's television that determines which views get to the nation. Are they justified in saying that?
I hope not, but I will plead guilty to the charge that the people who are running television news make the decisions on what is newsworthy. Then that's our responsibility to do that, and we can't avoid it.
The House Armed Services Committee has a closed session at 2 o'clock this afternoon on the Iranian rescue, and we will be staking that out with a Brownie NG crew and a producer.
This is how it works. This is the morning news meeting at ABC. Executives and editors crowd into a conference room on West 66th Street in New York City. They're deciding what to do with 59 correspondents and 39 camera crews. The same thing is going on at CBS and NBC and at newspapers across the country. They're just people doing a job. It just happens that their job is to decide what will probably be news tonight and tomorrow.
Basic candidate coverage today, Anderson. There is none. Bush has one event today, a news conference at Newark Airport. He comes into Newark at 11 o'clock.
It meant a lot to George Bush whether or not these people decided to send cameras to cover him. But to them it meant very little. It's routine to them. The cameras go where they think the action will be.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, the availability of 3 spots. There is a broader Van Oker piece which is going to get into the Democratic numbers game.
It's a professional judgment made by journalists who play by their own rules. That's the bottom line of the First Amendment. That's freedom of the press.
I'm quite sure there have been mistakes, and I'm sure there will be more in the future. But who else is going to exercise that power? Are we going to turn it over to the candidates? Is John Anderson to decide how much time he's going to get on the ABC news program, or NBC, or CBS? Is Ted Kennedy to make that determination about himself? I think not. Sure, we make mistakes. We're the people that have the responsibility, and we take the heat.
We make the decisions right here in-house, CBS Evening News, with consultation from our Washington production staff and people, correspondents who suggest stories, and we weigh those. The ultimate decision, toward the end of the day, if there is any debate or discussion about it, it comes down to me. I make the final decision.
If 20 people announce for the presidency, how do you make decisions as to which of those are worth giving time on the CBS News?
That is probably the biggest hole in the whole process, right there. I don't know just exactly what that process is. I think that part of it is really subjective. Somebody in the staff, several of our staff, meet all of the candidates at one point or another. We've researched them thoroughly. We know who is serious and who is not serious. We know who really has anything to say, to offer the people, and who does not.
Cronkite's rule, we decide, and when we disagree, I decide, breaks down for one man, the President of the United States. He may be running, but he doesn't have to chase cameras. Everything he says or does is considered news. It's almost as if he were 4 men, the head of state, the head of government, the head of party, and the candidate.
Mr. Eric Hayden.
The president doesn't have to leave his office. The president doesn't have to leave his rose garden. The president can even send his wife out to do the talking.